9.
This is a picture of the little girl.
The 33 News introduces an alleged drunk driver to her victims.
I hate myself right now.
A mother and daughter dead.
Well, I'm really sorry.
We deliver the suspect's apology tonight. The accident happened Saturday night, but the 33 News did speak to a tearful Ilda Verduzco, who says she is very regretful tonight of what happened. She is now behind bars and charged with 2 counts of intoxication manslaughter in the deaths of Keena Williams and Carmen Butler. Their friends and family gathered for a memorial just about an hour ago. The 33's Don Tongish is here. Now, Don, we understand that they did not want to hear the suspect's message of regret.
Amanda, certainly not all of them. Some family members say they are ready to forgive, others not so quickly for this devastating loss. Those victims were remembered at a vigil tonight. That while the woman accused of taking their lives is owning up to her deadly mistake.
The damage is done. Like, I killed 2 people.
It's the sobering reality for Hilda Verduzco, who from her jail cell is trying to fathom that she tore a family apart.
This is a picture of the little girl. Her name was Carmen.
Verduzco broke down seeing for the first time a picture of 2-year-old Carmen Butler.
This is a picture of her mother. Her name was Keena.
And her mother, 24-year-old Keena Williams, who was crushed when police say a drunk Verduzco slammed her Mercedes into the family's car Saturday. A crash so violent, mother and daughter died instantly.
I cannot stop thinking about the family that I took their kids away from. I took their lives.
The mother of 3 admitted to us she was drinking before heading out to a girls' night out, not thinking those actions could be so devastating.
I think they should let me rot in here. I'm just so angry at myself.
Verduzco says she deserves the max for taking 2 innocent lives. She wants no mercy, instead forgiveness, offering this directly to the family she shattered.
I just hope you forgive me, and if you don't, you have every right not to. My heart goes out to you. I don't know what exact words would be the appropriate ones, and I don't even think an apology is enough. But I'm really sorry.
And even if the Williams family forgives, the law won't. She could face decades behind bars. Verduzco says her story, Amanda, should be a powerful deterrent to those who even think about drinking and driving.
It certainly is. Just hearing her moves a lot of people to maybe do the right thing. And you know, Dawn, the Dallas Police Department is trying to also do its
When young
own.
love turns criminal, sometimes someone ends up being forced to register as a sex offender for life. Tonight, Governor Rick Perry is mulling over a proposed law that could be life-changing for young lovers who end up as sex offenders. The 33's Don Tongish is here with the details on this. Don.
Amanda, it's called the Romeo and Juliet bill, and it's headed for the governor's desk for his signature. If signed into law, a sliver of the state's nearly 65,000 registered sex offenders may be dropped from that list. These are people who got caught up in the throes of young love and ended up sex offenders.
You're associated with the absolute worst kind of human beings.
Inside the walls of his home, that's the only place this man we'll call Austin says he can escape the ridicule of being labeled a rapist.
People's first reaction when they find out is, Christ, who did you rape? You're the guy hiding in the bushes. You're the one on to catch a predator.
For 7 years, the now 28-year-old has been required to register as a sex offender for a crime Austin says was a teenage romance.
I was 18 and she was 16.
But Austin says it didn't matter that the teens were in love and their parents approved. It was still sexual assault. And because he took a plea deal, his name is now splashed over the internet, which has cost him dearly.
I got fired from my job. I got fired from every job after that. I was actually forbidden to see my own daughter when she was born.
Backlash that could be reversed under a proposal dubbed the Romeo and Juliet bill, now headed for the governor's desk. If there is fewer than 4 years age difference, the minor is 15 and consented, the offender may be exempt from registering as a sex offender.
But if this is a Romeo and Juliet offender, it's not going to have the same impact on the neighborhood as a Ted Bundy would. Ezio
Leite, who counsels sex offenders, supports the plan because he says Romeo and Juliet offenders may not be as dangerous and tax dollars would be better spent monitoring higher risk offenders.
It's still all about community safety. It's not about being nice to sex offenders. It's about community safety and the use of the resources appropriately.
Maybe the first time in a long time I feel like a regular person.
For Austin, the bill, if approved, will be life-changing. He can petition to have his name stripped from the registry, free, he says, from living as a sex offender.
It'd be a chance at a new start.
A fresh start and the end of what has been a pricey battle for Austin. He has spent more than $200,000 trying to get his name off the registry. The bill's sponsor, Dallas Democrat Royce West, told me tonight he expects Governor Perry to make this law. Reporting live, Dawn Tongish, the 33 News.
This is the 33 News at 9.
I don't drink and drive. I'm not the type.
Recite the alphabet backwards.
Z, Y.
Walk in a straight line. Stand on one foot without one drink. Could you do it, drunk or sober?
The loose stare officer said, well, Mr. Hammock, you blew a 0.000. And I thought, hallelujah.
It's harder to tell than you think. It's hard to imagine being sober and busted for driving drunk, but it happens. The 33's Don Tongish is live with more. Don?
Walt, who doesn't want the drunks off the street? We all do, right? But experts say too many times the sober also gets snared, and here's why. This is one of those field sobriety tests. Stand on one leg, put the other out in front of you, your toes pointed to the sky, and then just stand there still for 30 seconds, no swaying. Well, could you do it? A Dallas man couldn't, and so he found himself in jail, accused of DWI.
He grabbed my arm, put handcuffs on me, grabbed the other one, and I was in handcuffs.
It's still surreal to David Hammock that he was arrested and jailed for hours.
In the most extreme situation, I could not see this happening to anybody.
Hammock says driving home after a poker game, he bumped a curb and was quickly pulled over by a Dallas police officer who suspected he was drunk.
He said, have you been drinking? And I said, no, I had my bottle of Frappuccino.
Even though he was sober, Hammock was put through a battery of field sobriety tests.
You can kind of see that it's naturally hard to do.
Gangly and uncoordinated, Hammock says he failed, and even though he hadn't had a drink, he was taken to jail.
And I thought, this is horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
It happens a lot, according to DWI experts. Drivers who are sober are tagged as being under the influence.
There are lots of people in our community that are arrested and charged with DWI that are simply not guilty of driving while intoxicated.
Attorney Buck Johnson says he sees it. Sober drivers charged with DWI who essentially failed a coordination test, like standing on one leg.
I know people that couldn't do that right now in a perfect environment. And so under the pressure of being pulled over and being asked to essentially balance yourself on one foot is very difficult for a lot of people.
After hours in jail, Hammock, who took a breath test, was cleared of DWI allegations.
The loose stare officer said, well, Mr. Hammock, you blew a 0.000. And I thought, hallelujah. And the loose stare officer said, you have no alcohol in your system.
Even though Hammock spent another half day locked up, charged with 3 traffic violations he disputes. Upset the system to target drunks could get it so wrong. Now, even though that drunk driving charge was dropped against Hammock, he says it was still awfully expensive. He had to get his car out of the impound lot, and he still faces those traffic violations. We did email and call the Dallas Police Department. Authorities there did not respond. Reporting live, Dawn Tongish, the 33 News.
Beat by his dad, smoker and drinker, depressed. That's what a judge heard today about the 20-year-old who tried to blow up a building. Is Hossam Smati an insane killer with his eyes on the biggest target in Dallas, or was he just a troubled teen? His fate hangs in the balance. Tonight, only on the 33 News, hear from the FBI's top man on the terror case.
Walt, the head of the Dallas FBI, says this case is as solid as it comes and that Hossam Smati's claims of entrapment are false. A judge is weighing all of that in sentencing as she decides if Smati deserves a break or the max, decades in prison.
You said that your son learned a lesson?
Jordanian Maher Smati entered federal court to plead for leniency for his son Hossam. On the stand, Smati told the judge his son grew up in a turbulent home with abuse and divorce and was torn apart when his mother died of cancer, painting a picture of a good boy gone astray.
Everybody that has met Hossam Smati will tell you he is a nice, kind, generous man.
In court, Hossam, who has grown his hair to shoulder length, told the judge he understood what was being said. When a psychiatrist for the defense testified, Smati is a delusional schizophrenic who at the time couldn't tell reality from fantasy.
I saw your last name.
The defense claims Smati tried to quiet hallucinations with marijuana and cocaine. His MySpace page was littered with references to partying and pot. In a letter, Smati claims the FBI set him up, giving him the fake bomb.
We are not allowed to plant the idea of committing a crime in a person's head.
Special agent in charge, Robert Casey, who led the Smati investigation, told us there is no entrapment, only proof that Smati would have taken innocent lives.
The government can provide an opportunity for that person to follow through with the crime in an undercover capacity in order to collect the requisite evidence to prove their guilt, establish their guilt.
That guilt was sealed when Smati pled guilty to trying to use a weapon of mass destruction. Prosecutors today said he was holding down a job at a convenience store. A doctor testified he has no mental illness and may be faking it.
America shall never enjoy.
They want the max for the man who videotaped an homage to Osama bin Laden and willingly pushed the button of a truck bomb, hoping to bring down the Fountain Place. Dawn Tongish, the 33 News.
The sentencing hearing continues in the morning, where defense attorneys say Smati may testify. He is likely facing up to 30 years in prison under a plea deal, but that is up to the judge, who could still give him. And all moms prepare to celebrate Mother's Day. A little Elm mother will be spending her first year without her son, Caleb. As the 33's Dawn Tongish reports, cancer took this mother's little boy in March, but she is reaching out to him and others through a blog, touching hearts with words.
I wish we'd taken more family pictures.
When the words come, so do the tears for Angela Huffhines.
I'm flooded with thoughts of you.
Through her blog, the Little Elm mom shares not only her grief, but her memories of joy for Caleb.
The first time you got to play in the snow.
Pouring out her heart in words for even strangers to read, Huffhines says helps ease the loss that lingers.
As I was writing yesterday, I thought, I miss hearing him laugh. I miss his smile.
Huffhines started the blog last October when 5-year-old Caleb was diagnosed with a rare, inoperable brainstem cancer. Facebook wasn't enough, so she started to write, sharing her family's deepest struggles to defeat death.
There were days that we had great news to share, and there were days that we had not so great news to share.
The personal and profound posts detailing every parent's worst nightmare quickly gained a following around the world.
New Zealand, Australia, Luxembourg, literally all over the world, we had people reading and praying for him and for us.
Even as Caleb's condition turned bleak, Huffhines blogged, telling others about her talks about heaven, sharing her final moments with her son.
I promised him at that point that I would be with him to the very end, and that I would hold him when he breathed his last breath. And I did.
In the 6 weeks since Caleb's passing, Huffhines hasn't stopped, telling others about the journey and helping them walk through their own.
Many of the blogs that I ran across stopped when the child passed. And I wondered what happened to them after.
But now Huffhines says she writes to Caleb.
There was no one I could have imagined loving more.
And not so much about him, trusting in her faith to help her find the words to touch others and speak to the little boy who now lives in her heart.
I'm so thankful that you were a part of our lives.
Dawn Tongish, the 33 News.